make a duplicate of this head. All right, Shift D to duplicate. You know what? I might as well make a duplicate of this part as well so that it covers the hole for the arm. All right, Shift D to duplicate, G and Z to move that down like so. First, piercing this part a third, I noticed I left the mesh for the face. Okay, so let's just do that again. Select this, this, and this. Let's make sure we get everything right this time. Yep, that's it. So Shift D to duplicate, G and Z. Okay, so this is the only object that has a mirror. There's no mirror for this and no mirror for this. Scale the entire object and then move it up so this goes through the mesh like this. Yeah, I think this is about right. So let's merge these objects together, all right? Let's turn off the mirror for now. Let's align this object with the neck. As you can see, the edge is no longer aligned with this object. So select this entire edge. Shift S, cursor to selected, set origin to 3D cursor, and then select this, Shift select this, N, and then align on the Y-axis. Okay, so now we can see it is perfectly aligned. This is still aligned to the center. Let's just move it up to where it appears to be around the shoulder and then inward so it goes through the mesh. All right, so now we can add the mirror modifier that we previously had, right? I think this looks accurate. I'm just checking for any misalignments. I believe they are all aligned. And this, I believe we added it to the wrong piece. Should be behind this object. Okay, so let's go to the side view. Select both objects and just move it down. Okay, and we may now need to move this down to create more room for the objects in the center. Okay, j'ai vu ce soir. So from this point, select the face, Shift A, add a plane. So now the plane has been reshaped to fit what we have in our reference, and this side should be fine. So just press E to extrude. This should be fine. Now what we want to do is add a knob for this part of the mesh. Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, add a circle, RX90. So let's scale this down and position this somewhere around here. We can align these two objects on the Z-axis. Okay, so go to edit mode, F to fill it up with a face, E to extrude, something like that. We can delete the face behind, then bevel the edge in front, I should say. Then let's make an inset, then shade smooth. Okay, so it might be a bit too big, so we want to scale this down. I need to scale this down as well. Let's add a bevel modifier. I'll make the segments 4 and the amount 0.03, and let's see what it looks like. Ah, that might be too much. Let's try 0.007, shade auto smooth. And then, like always, we can always delete the faces that will not show through in our mesh. So we can add an edge loop to help us with the shading. You can see it looks a bit cleaner. All right, I think this is far out enough. All right, so let's move this inward just a tad from the side view. We can go to vertex select and just pull it out a bit, something like that. So let's make a duplicate for this and then scale it up. I'll put this at the center of our object so it will serve as the centerpiece. But before we do that, let's make sure it is the right size. All right, scale on the Y-axis. Let's see if it's not too much, and that's definitely too much. Something like this should be good. So select this mesh, add an edge loop, select the entire face, Shift D to duplicate, P to separate by selection. Then make a selection, add a solidify modifier, apply rotation and scale, increase the thickness. It appears to be going inward, so you want to flip the offset to positive. Okay, so that the thickness is going outward and not inward. Okay, so this level of thickness should be good. Let's see from the front view. Yeah, this should be good. So let's add a bevel modifier and then increase the segments to 4, should be fine. Amount 0.005. And 0.005 is also working well. And now we can add a subdivision surface modifier to round everything off smoothly. Okay, yeah, and I think this size should be fine for our knob. I'm just trying to even everything out a bit. So scale this and Shift Y. Okay, so now we can make duplicates for the other knobs. All right, so we want to select this mesh, add a mirror modifier, and then the target object will be this mesh. Okay, so it perfectly gives us the mirror for the selected object. Add another mirror, and make this the center point as well. Okay, so now we just need one for the center of the object. Now, The best way to do this would be to apply the mirror for these meshes. Apply the mirror. So now these two objects are one object. Now, if we set origin to geometry, the origin of the geometry would be the median point of these two objects. So now we have the origin at the center, right? So now let's put the cursor at this origin by saying Shift-S, cursor to selected, as you can see. So now we can make a duplicate of this mesh, P to separate by selection. And now we have just one mesh, like so. And then we would set its origin to the geometry, okay, like so. And then Shift-S, then you say selection to cursor. Right, so now we have this. And let's see from the bottom view. I'm trying to see if they are lined properly, which they do. Okay, so we'll do the same for this other piece, right? The reason why I didn't make both of them at the same time is because this object has a lot of modifiers that I wouldn't want to apply now, like solidify, bevel, subdivision, and mirror. And this has none, okay? If I have to merge them together, they need to have similar modifiers. All right, so select this object, Shift-D to duplicate. Then we remove the mirror. We don't need mirror, we just need a single object. Then Shift-select this object because the origin is at the center. This also has its origin at the center. So select, Shift-select this object, and then align on the X-axis and Z-axis. Okay, so now we have the final piece. I hope that was not too confusing. If it is, you will just have to create your first object, Shift-D, and then move it forward. Then Shift-D, move it forward, or Shift-R to repeat the previous action, the best way known to you. Okay, I was just trying to get, a more accurate center for our object so it is, it's more mathematically correct, all right? So for the lines like you see in these objects and the details in the mesh, we are going to use an image texture for this centerpiece, okay? So now this is what we have. Now, an image texture is basically having a design of an image. Let's see if I can find that in my work file. And that tutorial folder, should be in Mod 3. Yep. Okay, so this is the image texture for the centerpiece. Okay, and as you can see, you can have anything you want for your mesh. All right, you can have anything you want. So just use any image editor you can get your hands on to design this. I might also provide this in the description if you do wish to have this same image. All right, okay. So next up, we are going to model the hands and the legs. Okay, I'm looking at the body and I feel like it might be too small. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to mess with it any further, so I don't keep going back and forth, all right? So just pay attention to this. The thickness of this and the thickness of this, I feel like I may have made them a bit too small, okay? So if you are following the tutorial, you might want to give more room to the edges. I don't want to go back and then try to readjust this and then make the tutorial on this really longer, right? So I will stick to this for now. The next thing you want to do is make a duplicate of this for the legs. Let's just move it down and then make sure it pierces through the mesh and go to edit mode and then move it to the right side so that the origin stays at the center. And then let's scale this Shift-Z so it doesn't scale on the Z-axis. All right, let's add a mirror. So now we have this. Now this will be the part from which the leg springs out from. Let's scale this up a bit. I might also need to scale this on the Z-axis as well. Yeah, let's see. Okay, it aligns on the right side. So select this object. So make a selection like so. Shift-S, cursor to selected, and then let's add a cylinder. Scale it down. Yeah, scale this down until it appears to fit the size of this mesh, the torus. So let's delete the top face of this object, then delete this as well. Then from the wireframe view, we can grab this and move this down until it looks about right. Let's make a mirror so it doesn't start looking weird. Make this my target object. So we want to keep an eye on our reference. Okay, all right, so from this point now we can also make a duplicate of this, then move this down. That will serve as the point where the rubber legs meet the shoe. All right, and this is the point where the leg meets the body. All right, okay. Overall, I'm looking at this, and I think the head is a bit too small compared to what we have in the reference. All right, now that I added the legs and I can see it, it's looking a bit too small, so let's just box select everything that we have for the head and scale it up. I can also see that the mirroring that we took from the head is also affecting this, so I would remove this for now, then make this the target object. All right, so we can now scale this freely without affecting anything else. Okay, so let's scale this up. I want to scale this from this point. So let's go in from this point and select this entire edge. Do Shift S cursor to selected, and then now we can scale from this 3D cursor. All right, so to change it to 3D cursor, you just come up here, instead of median point, select 3D cursor. All right, then scale. And yeah, I think this looks like what I want. The head should be relatively bigger than everything else. Yeah, this looks better. Okay, so moving on, select the legs. Let's go to the local view. Let's add edge loops, and I want 10 edge loops. You need to be paying attention to this side. So you're not actually counting your edge loops. You want to be looking up here at this, is cut 7. So you want to have 10 cuts. And don't do this while you are in your vertex select mode, because if you do, it will also select the edges at the center of your object instead of just these edges, right? So let's undo that and select edges. Now let's make this 10. As you can see now, because we're in edge select mode, we only have these edges selected. It's ignoring the edges around here. And this is what we want. It makes our job, our next step easier, which is beveling the edges. So we want to bevel this and leave just one edge at the center. We are trying to create this same rubber look. So now hold down Alt and select the center edge loop for each of these rubber segments. Again, if you know how to make this kind of selection much faster, you should let us know in the comments section. All right, now we can scale this about, but first we need to switch this to individual origins. Okay, so that each object is scaled at its own median point. All right, so I might take this far in because I want that rubber effect to really pop. All right, so let's shade smooth, then add subdivision surface modifier. All right, now you can see we have this. Let me make sure my screen recording is active. Okay, it is. I moved this to my second screen so I have a better look at it. All right, we can make a duplicate of this for the hand. So select this and this. We don't need this other piece because we have this here already. So Shift D to duplicate, R to rotate 90, -90. This object doesn't appear to be following accurately. Let's see what's the problem. We should make this. Okay, let's try again. Shift D, rotate 90, negative. All right, let's merge them together, the duplicated objects, Control J to join them. Right, so now we have this. So now when I rotate 90 and then minus, so that's -90. All right, so now we can move this up into place. So set origin to geometry so we can align it better with the torus center point. All right, so press N to open the side panel and then align on the Z location. You can notice that it snapped. So align on the Y as well, so it will align in this direction, right? This green line. So now we have it perfectly in the center of the torus, right? Now the only thing you might need to do is reduce the size of the hand. I don't think the hand should be as long or as thick as the legs, right? So what we want to do now is select the entire mesh and then Alt S to scale just a little bit and then S to scale one more time. Somewhere around here should be fine. Let's move this in. Okay, something like this should be good. So we have to scale this down so we don't have this excess space, right? We had the problem of this mesh separating from this because we have our individual origin turned on. It should be median point. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. I might need to scale this out. I also need this to be a bit thicker and smaller. So I'm just trying to make it as close to the reference as possible. Okay, so now all that we have left is the legs and the hands. All right, so going to the front view, select this object. I believe the only part I need selected is already selected, but I'll just switch it to this. Shift S cursor to selected and Shift A add a cube. Let's scale the cube down somewhere around here. Something about this size so it fits the leg. So now we are trying to create the shoe, okay? There will be a bit of freestyle for this. I might not accurately follow the reference, but we'll try to be as close as possible. So it will stretch somewhere around here. Let's see how big it is relative to the body. That looks about the right length. Okay, so let's move this down and down. Then we can add an edge loop for the division in the shoe where the sole and the upper part of the shoe meet. So something like this. Let's scale this on the x-axis. Then let's move this back on the y-axis. Let's select this entire edge loop and move it forward so that the circle sits in the square above and beneath it. Okay, let's add an edge loop at this center point. Let's select this entire edge, Control B to bevel, and then leave the center line. Now select the center line, and then S to scale. Let's see. Okay, we are at the median point, which is good. S to scale. Be careful not to go too far in. This is how far I've gone. Let's see if it looks good. Okay, so add a subdivision surface modifier. Let's increase this to 2. I think that may be too much. Yeah, obviously too much. So let's pull this out, bring it out, and then we have this. So I'm just going to keep on making edits to the shoe until I have something that looks close to this. All right, so just pay attention. It's basically a repetitive process of what we have been doing all this while. So let's go. So I'm extruding this part up, then S to scale. Let's delete the face, all right? And then select this edge loop, and then let's convert it to a circle so it kind of matches with what we have with the shape of the leg, right? Let's select everything again and move it down a bit. So the leg, this line here just goes through the centerpiece, all right? Let's shade smooth. And then as you can see, the front part of the shoe, if I can just zoom out, the front part of the shoe is a bit straight. It should be rounded. So go to the wireframe view, select the entire edge loop in front, and then move it on the y-axis like so. Oh, we can see that rounded shape, right? So we want something similar for the back as well. I might need to select this as well. This is where your artistic flow comes in. So you just want to look at things and then see what feels right and what feels wrong, and then you make adjustments, right? The front part of the shoe, I feel like I could scale this in and I could move this up. I don't know. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better than what we have in the reference. Let's move this on the Y. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like the way this looks. The shoes are also supposed to be a lot bigger, so I will select the entire shoe, then scale it up, and then move it down like so. So one more thing we need to do. The shoes should not be pointing straight towards the camera. So only do this step after you are satisfied with the shape of the shoe. I might need to tweak this a bit more. I don't know. Let's see.